Here we go. Ah, working beautifully. Look at that. Hey everyone, Sean here, and welcome to another car detailing video. I wanted to show you guys today in this video what I've been using for a pretty good while now, which is of course this soda keg right here that is basically purposed as a detail keg. So for those who don't know what that is, a detail keg is basically a big old can made out of stainless steel. You pressurize it and you spray on whatever you want onto your car. Maybe you can even use it for your garden or whatever, because I mean, I guess it really depends on what you're really spraying or how you're spraying it and all that stuff. But mainly for me, I use this for distributing rinseless wash onto the car, and I think it does it very beautifully. A basic detail keg comprises of, well, the metal tank, and then you have, of course, the lid right here, which has the Schrader valve, which is one of the key things to have in order for it to, to even happen. And of course, it has the safety valve and all that stuff to help regulate the pressure, whatever, right? And you have these quick connects right here, of course, including this one. I happen to have a metal quick connect, but you can use plastic as long as you're careful. And of course, you have the air hose right here. This is from Flexzilla. And of course, an important component for any detail keg, of course, is a sprayer of some kind. Usually for detail kegs, you see like the longer spray wands from T-Jet, which yes, you could do that, but I forgo that because I thought it's pretty expensive for what it was, and I just wanted to really use what I have in the garage and kind of go a little more of a cheaper route in a way. And I pretty much have been using this configuration, which is basically a garden hose sprayer of some kind that you can just buy from like any home improvement store. And what's cool about these classic types of sprayers is that it has a front thread, a garden hose thread, male, which means you can like pretty much screw on anything when it comes to like what kind of spray head you want. So this is what I went with. By the way, all the products I will be mentioning in this video will be in the description, so you guys can check that out after. But yes, I found this particular spray head, which is supposed to be for like a greenhouse or something for your plants, which is kind of perfect because this is such a good way to distribute rinseless wash onto your car, right? And let all the emulsification, encapsulation, all the magic E words happen on your dirty car. So I've been using this configuration for a long while. It's been working beautifully. But the one caveat that I've been having with the keg right here is, pumping it up. Pumping it up does take quite a bit because, you're dealing with a really robust tank here. Now you could do it several ways. One of them is, yes, you could use a tire inflator of sorts. It's ideal because it's small, compact. You can throw it onto on like a little pouch right here and put it right in there and then have it pump the keg from there. But the caveat to that is that those tire inflators, like your typical tire inflator that costs like what, 30 to 50 bucks, maybe even like 80 bucks, they do tend to take a long time because you definitely want to pump this probably around 60 at the minimum, but I tend to pump it around like 100 psi, right around there, which I think is the perfect amount to really get this spray head going. But you could get away with 60 psi, I think. Don't quote me on that. But anywho, the point is that pumping these bad boys up tends to take a lot of power. Hence why I don't really try to use those tire inflators, because I just feel like it really wears it out real fast, which already happened, by the way. One of my tire inflators I've had for a while actually gave out when I was trying to pump up the those IK foam sprayers, the big ones. And that's not even like that robust in comparison to the keg right here. But it happens. So if that's going to happen with that, imagine trying to use only the tire inflator with this keg right here. Okay, so that's why I don't personally recommend it. Otherwise, you're better off trying to use an actual dedicated air compressor, because you have a tank, it actually compresses the air, and you can efficiently deliver that into, well, another tank. Whereas a tire inflator it's trying to force that air into the tank all on its own in a way. And it's just basically an air pump. It's a motorized air pump, which is fine, but you're gonna have to accept that those things are gonna wear out real fast, because those things get real hot. The motor is gonna just wear out. It'll expand over time or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a real expert, but that's what I imagine what's happening in on that little tiny motor. And again, it takes quite a bit of time to get this all fully pumped, depending on how much you want it to be pumped. But for me, it takes me like I've like calculated this. It was like 6 minutes or something like that. So it's pretty time consuming. And even with a dedicated air compressor, or you can grab those like power tool graded air compressors or inflators. Those will also take some time as well. But an actual air compressor will take you about at most 2 minutes. It depends on how much you want to inflate it. I want it to be pressurized to the max, quote unquote. So that's why I go for the 100 over something like 65 or something. Just because I just want that extra insurance I have enough pressure to get around my car, on top of having enough liquid and stuff like that as well. But all that stuff, all those methods take time, and I wanted to cut that time down a little further by having something a little more fancy and something that I can kind of afford. Before I was able to do that for myself, I discovered the airless keg system, and that pretty much in concept really solves the issue that I kind of have with these kegs, right? You could use the air compressors and go about it, and if you think you don't need it, then that's fine. This is completely optional, but this system really solves that issue. That's pretty much why it's here. What's a little different about it is that you're not really pressurizing anything. You're actually using the motor itself to move the liquid through the hose and deliver out through the spray head right here. So instead of using air to drive the product, you're using just the motor to drive the product, which is why you don't have to wait for the compression to happen or the pressurizing to happen. Although funny, because there is a bit of a warning you kind of, I guess, want to take note of if you are planning to use a airless keg type of system. But more on the airless keg system, I first discovered it through Outdoor Detailer, or aka Mike. So thank you for that video, of course. I really love the concept of it because, again, it really solves the issue of cutting down the time pressurizing the tank. The big caveat to that is if you want to buy it pre-made and all that stuff, it'll cost you 300 smackaroos or 300 USD. So obviously you don't want to do that, because I'd rather use that money to get an actual, like, I don't know, pressure washer or something like that, or something else really. So Mike actually went ahead and built his own version. And that of itself was also something I love, because I like building things sometimes, and the DIY stuff is something I kind of like take interest of, and that's why it kind of further inspired me to basically kind of get into the airless keg system. Now again, caveats. The caveat to Mike's version at the time at least, that one cost $200. And I thought, maybe I can bring that down a little further. So this is my version, which is basically almost the same thing with mics, with just a few changes. And it's really not that hard. It's just what you choose is how much you're going to be paying for your own airless keg system. Otherwise, though, the method of putting it together, all that stuff is entirely the same. It's just buying the parts is what really determines the worth and the value and just the outcome and the results and all that stuff. All right, let me take you guys a little closer and let me go flip the camera around. So of course, as you can see here, this is the little backpack I have here. It's more specifically a tactical sling bag. That's what it's called. I was able to get this around $10. What I really like about these style of sling bags is that it has plenty of pouches and zippers and all that fun stuff to have the room to house your sprayer, okay? And in here, the front pouch, I have the battery pack right here. This is a Talent Cell 12-volt battery pack. And what's kind of special about this is that it already has a built-in switch, a rocker switch to be more specific. So it's all like all in one. You don't need to buy a separate switch. If you were to buy a different battery, it's all built into one. It makes things a little easier. Therefore, you can have a little more room in your backpack or sling bag. All right. Another key component that I have in here is, of course, what's plugged into here. There's several names for it, but apparently they're called like pigtail plugs or whatever, pigtail cables or whatever you want to call them. That basically will connect to the battery here, and you definitely want to plug into the black one. Why is the cable specifically going through this zipper pocket right there? Hopefully you guys can see that. And this is essentially empty, except for the cable that's running through. Why I have it running through there is because there is a hole on the bottom for like different purposes, but I use it as a way to run the cable out to this part of the hole, and that's where it plugs into, of course, the main component of this system, the motor. So the motor is right there. This is a sort of pump diaphragm motor. I can't move it. I can't actually pull out the motor because it's all like mounted and everything. It's all like screwed in and all that stuff. But that's what the motor kind of looks like. What I can tell you is that it comes with like a black and red cable. It already has the leads kind of open. So that allows you to plug it into the connectors, which actually does come with this motor. So if you're planning to like crimp it yourself and all that stuff, that's kind of like unnecessary because it's already like kind of there for you. So I have this connector right here to connect the wires between the pigtail cable that's plugged into the battery and, of course, the motor cables. Now you can like, clean up the wiring and all that stuff. That's really up to you, but that's kind of have it like this just because it's already working as is. So I'm just going to kind of just leave it alone as is. I don't want to tug on it too much because otherwise the leads might like slip out or whatever, and obviously won't work. What you need to know though, when it comes to putting the motor into this big pocket, is that you want the motor to face so that the inlet and outlet sides of the hoses are facing down. Hence why I have holes coming from there and there, which is essentially the bottom of the sling bag. That way, if there's a leak, it'll just leak through the bottom or to the bottom already and not leak on the motor itself, and thus bringing up the possibility that it might short itself out. So that's like an important note to take in. Which, of course, by the way, yes, that's all coming from Mike. I followed his video, so that's essentially how I did it. That's essentially it for all the basics, and it's just extra cable right here, extra length of the cable. This motor specifically, that I'm going to link you guys, has a inlet and outlet thread sizes of 1/2 inch NBT. So for me, I had to get a converter from a 1/2 inch, what was it, female to a female 1/4 inch NBT, which obviously is the size for these Flexilla hoses. And of course, one side is leading from the motor to the spray head, and then the other side is what's being fed from the tank. So of course, read the direction of the motor and mount it accordingly. And sorry if this is like not the greatest tutorial, but I built it myself without filming it because I was already in that mode. So I just kind of like said, screw it, I'm just gonna just build it. I don't have time to set up the camera all nicely and stuff. I don't really have the room for it, at least at the time. So that's why you don't see me build it. But what I can tell you is that there's no leaks right off the bat, first try. Fingers crossed and everything, but no problems. The only thing you should know is that, yeah, you're gonna have the inlet connecting to of course, the liquid side of your keg. So that runs through here, goes this way. Thus, of course, this is where the spraying hose is plugged in, or screwed in rather. And of course, yes, you're gonna probably want some thread tape to as you screw in the hoses onto the motor itself. And of course, yes, you do have to put some holes into the bottom of the sling bag. I put 2. I use scissors. It's really not that hard to get these holes going. The only thing now is to obviously mount it, right? Get it actually strapped to the keg, and it should be straightforward. It has this nice clip right here. Look how massive that thing is. So it's pretty nice. It may come off a little crooked sometimes, depending on how it's mounted to your keg. So that's why I had to use some silicone ties. These are like reusable, bendable ties, which is very handy. You can get them at like Harbor Freight or some sort of like hardware store. I got mine online, and they are really handy. I like basically loop through these hooks, right? These little, what do you call these? Like these loops right here, right? And tied them up to the handle of the keg. So it basically straightens out the bag. It makes it look more nice, and it gives a little more support as it hangs on to the keg. Sorry if my explanation isn't the greatest, but that's how I can, explain to you guys how I was able to get this all going. And then of course, when you actually use it, you just hit the switch right here, and you'll see it or hear it go like that. It's already pressurized, so it should be all ready to go. And you can kind of see. There we go. Short little demonstration. I don't want to make a mess on the floor. I still have some leftover O&R in here, so that's why. So yeah, so let me go ahead and turn off this, and that's it. The only thing you do have to take into mind, though, is that when you are planning to operate this with the lid on, Mike says to leave the safety valve open. So don't do this when you operate the motor, because I guess it actually pumps some air over time. So that's why just for safety precautions or whatever, to leave this open. And again, you're not compressing air, you're just using the motor itself to drive the product through the hose. I hope everyone gets it more, at least, and give it a spin. And of course, you can operate this without the lid. This is you can definitely go ahead and do that. So here's the lid, or without the lid. There you go. All right, so motor's off. Should be, all right, let me depressurize. Throw that back in there, and basically that's it. All right, lid back on. Try to do this with one hand. There we go. So that is essentially it. Hopefully that's everything I need to explain. Don't mind this pouch though. This pouch is just for extra parts to hold. Well, that's essentially it, yeah. You just need to know how to connect some wires. You get a battery and a motor. Which, by the way, yes, I forgot to explain the prices. The motor is 20 bucks. This was about 50 bucks. So, and the backpack right here is 10 bucks. And if you want to count the air hoses, that's also going to run you another 25 bucks. And then the spray head will vary, so that's going to be up to you. But altogether, this system itself should come out about more or less 150, which is actually half the price of the actual airless keg system that's out there, which is kind of mind-blowing. So yeah, I've been really liking this system. It works great. It's just another fun way to deliver rinseless wash onto your car. But yeah, it basically makes a keg now just like a big regular sprayer, kind of like a backpack sprayer. That's kind of like that basically, but you can pretty much like configure how you want it. You can have your own motor, the battery you want, whatever hose you want. All the parts are all custom, so you can have like any configuration you want to your liking. So that's what I like about this system. It's pretty clean, yet it's to my liking. It's actually, you know, kind of like to my tastes and all that fun stuff. So pretty much that's it on that. If you have any more questions, please feel free to comment down below. So pretty much if you want to know how to actually build the thing, just follow Mike's video. The only thing you need to know is that, you know, you just put the holes on the bottom. That's about it for the hose inlets and stuff like that. That's essentially the only thing different. And he even points that out by the end of his video. So Mike's video is I think the perfect tutorial for it, unless you already know how to like plug in the motor and everything and all that fun stuff. So this has my airless cake system. Again, I really do like it. I have pretty much forgoed my air compressor since. I'm still gonna use my air compressor for do the initial pump for my IK sprayers over there. But the tire inflators are just gonna be there to maintain pressure. That way I'm not gonna wear out the motor as fast as I did in the past. So yeah, hopefully I inspired some people out there to build their own. And let me know how it works out for you guys, and I'd love to hear them in the comment section below. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up, and subscribe for videos like these. Again, I will definitely be continuing to use this configuration. If, let's say, like, oh, the battery's out or something, then I will use my compressor. But by the way, for those who are worrying about the duration, it's it's been lasting a long time. I'm still on my first charge, by the way. This thing is still going, so it's pretty crazy. It's got a good amount of milliamp hours. I think it's like 110 psi or something, with 1.3 GPM or 1 GPM at least, which is plenty enough for. I mean, hey, you can even configure it so that it pretty much can rinse off your car without having a running source of water. But it all depends on you. So happy building, happy detailing, and I'll see you all in the next video. Sean out.